stop, just for a second. Before you scroll past to the next thing, I need you to understand exactly what is happening. Right here, right now. The room has been cleared, not by accident, not because people didn't show up. It was by design, and you were the only one invited. Not everyone sees this. Not everyone makes it this far. But you did. And that is no coincidence. Stay with me until the very end of this message. Before we're done, you're going to receive a protocol. 3 specific steps to anchor what happens tonight so that the enemy can't undo it. But first, I need to talk to you about everything that led up to this moment. Because you didn't show up here tonight with a light heart. You didn't come here at peace. There's something you do sometimes. You open your phone, not because you actually want to see anything, but because the silence just got too heavy. It's usually around 11 p.m. when the house finally goes quiet, and something inside you just can't find rest. It's not exactly loneliness. It's that hollow space between being alone and feeling abandoned. That feeling like everyone else is on the outside of a glass wall and you're on the inside, and the glass just won't break. The family group chat is buzzing. There are voices all around you. But every time you try to explain what you're actually carrying, it comes out wrong. Or you don't even try anymore because you've learned people won't get it. So you bury it. And what you're keeping to yourself has become much heavier than anything you carry in public. There are days you wake up with a question you can't even put into words. Why not me yet? It's not that you don't believe in God. It's more honest than that. It's being exhausted from praying for the same thing, the same way, in the same room, without seeing the heavens move. You still believe, but you're believing at a cost that nobody else sees. And here is something even more specific. You've been the answer to other people's prayers. You've watched God move for everyone around you, but when it's your turn, it feels like the miracle line always stalls right when it gets to you. It's not jealousy. It's that confusing ache that you don't even have a name for. But here is what I want to tell you right now. The fact that you are still standing after all of that isn't weakness disguised as faith. You seek. You dedicate yourself. You do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part, you start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video. After all of that, isn't weakness disguised as faith. It is real faith. It is the bravest thing in the world to stay on the field when the scoreboard looks all wrong. Before we go any further, hitting the like button on this video isn't just a click. It's your public amen. Heaven records what you confess openly. Do it now. I heard every prayer you thought never left the room. I was there when you shut the door and didn't know what to say. I didn't need your words. I just needed you. Tonight, 3 things are going to happen in this message. First, I'm going to show you the spiritual truth behind what you're feeling. Because what looks like abandonment is actually the clearest sign that you've been set apart for an encounter the crowd isn't allowed to see. Second, before this is over, you'll have a 3-step protocol, something you can do tonight, right now, to seal what was spoken here and stop the enemy from reversing it in the coming hours. Third, you're going to leave here with a declaration for tomorrow morning. Something you'll say before you say anything else, to reposition your day before it even starts. Don't check out early. What's coming changes everything that came before. Now I need to talk about what you've been going through. And I'm going to be precise, not generic. I'm going to call it what it is. Close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath. This won't work if your attention is divided. The first sign is the silence of heaven that you mistook for absence. You prayed. Heaven stayed quiet. And you started filling that silence with your own theories. God is busy with someone else. My prayer wasn't right enough. Maybe I need to do more. But here is what that silence really was. I wasn't answering with words because I was answering with presence. And presence doesn't make noise. It just arrives. The second sign is the thinning out of the people around you. It didn't happen all at once. Little by little. Someone you were close to drifted away. A bond that felt solid just loosened. No fight. No clear reason. And you wondered what you did wrong. But here is what that clearing really was. That was me clearing the room. Removing the human noise so that the conversation we're having right now wouldn't be interrupted by voices that don't belong at this level. The third sign is the prayer that stopped being a speech and turned into a groan. You've had seasons where your prayers were fluent. The right words, the right structure, the right length. But you hit a point where what came out was less polished. Roar. Sometimes just a name. Sometimes just silence with your eyes closed. You called it a spiritual dry spell. But here is what it really was. You finally coming to God without the armor, without the performance, and that is exactly how I prefer you. The fourth sign is the exhaustion that sleep can't fix. You slept, but you woke up heavy. You took a day off, but the fatigue wasn't in your body. It was deeper. It was the weight of carrying something for too long without seeing movement. And here is what that exhaustion really was. The sign that you reached the end of what your flesh can handle, which is exactly where I start working. Because there's no longer a risk of you taking credit for what only I can do. The fifth sign is the gut feeling that something is about to shift. It's not optimism. It's not you trying to convince yourself. It's something you feel in your chest before your mind can even process it. An anticipation that has no visible evidence yet. But it arrived before the proof. And here is what that feeling really is. I'm sending the sensation before the fact. Because you're going to need faith to step into what's coming. And faith requires anticipation to function. If any of these signs hit home, if you recognized even one of them as yours, write free in the comments. Not as a reply, as a declaration. Heaven is watching. Now I need to show you something that connects all of this. Elijah had just done one of the most extraordinary things in the Bible. 850 false prophets, a drenched altar, fire from heaven, the whole nation on their knees, a victory that should have changed everything. And then Jezebel sent him a 3-line message threatening to kill him, and Elijah collapsed. He didn't fight. He didn't pray. He ran. He sat under a tree in the middle of nowhere and asked to die. I've had enough, Lord. Literally, I'm done. I have nothing left. And here is what God did. And I need you to pay attention because this is exactly what is happening to you right now. God didn't show up with fire. He didn't show up with a hurricane. He didn't show up with an earthquake. He showed up with a voice, gentle, quiet, a whisper. And even before the voice, he sent an angel to touch Elijah's shoulder and say, "Get up and eat, because the journey is too much for you." He didn't scold Elijah for giving up. He fed him. He touched him. And then the voice asked the same thing twice. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Not as an accusation, as an invitation to name the burden he was carrying. What Elijah called the end was actually the waiting room for the most important commission of his life. The anointing of Elisha, the passing of a legacy that went far beyond himself. There's a practice in the theater world that most people never see, the dry tech, or the final dress rehearsal without an audience. It's the last run-through before opening night. All the lights are on, the costumes are perfect, the lines are memorized, but the theater is empty. No applause, no reaction, no immediate feedback. Just the actor, the director, and the space. The best directors say this is where the actor learns the most about themselves. Because without an audience, you can't do it for the reaction. You do it for what is real. You discover what's truly inside the character when there's no one there to clap. And that is exactly what is happening to you right now. The room was cleared, not because you don't deserve an audience, but because what is being installed in you at this level can only be installed without the interference of human approval. Elijah wasn't punished for hitting his limit. He was prepared in it. The empty rehearsal isn't a failure, it's formation. And you are in both at the same time. Which image do you identify with more? Elijah under the tree or the actor in the empty theater? Write it in the comments. I want to know. Let me stop for 1 full minute, because there are some things that are objectively true about you right now. You made it here. That wasn't random. Out of all the content out there, out of all the noise competing for your attention tonight, you are here. You recognize the signs. That means you have discernment, that you're already operating at a level of spiritual perception most people haven't developed. You're still believing. After the silence, after the clearing, after the prayers that felt like groans, you're still here, eyes open to what is being said, and you've reached your limit, which is the most dangerous place for the enemy and the most fertile ground for the supernatural. And here is who you are in the middle of all this. I didn't bring you this far to leave you at this point. I brought you this far because this is the point. You are at the center of what I'm doing, not in the waiting line. I cleared the room because what I'm about to tell you isn't for everyone. It's for you, tonight, now. There are 3 things you are in this encounter. Not who you hope to be, who you already are. First, you are the set apart. You weren't forgotten. You were deliberately removed from the crowd, the same way you separate gold from the raw stone, not to diminish it, but to purify it. The emptying you've experienced of people, of noise, of easy answers was the process of separation, not punishment, refinement. And here is what this identity authorizes. The set-apart person doesn't just carry a blessing for themselves. They carry what will feed others. Just like the separated wheat is what becomes the bread. Second, you are the witness. You were placed in this encounter to see something your eyes need to see, and your mouth will eventually need to tell. Everything you went through, the fatigue, the silence, the nameless pain, was the gathering of material for a testimony that hasn't been given yet because it was still being formed in you. And here is what this identity authorizes. The witness doesn't keep what they saw to themselves. The witness speaks, and when they speak, they clear a path for those still in the darkness you've already walked through. Third, you are the heir of the encounter. Moments like this don't happen by accident. They are legacies. Just as Elijah passed his mantle to Elisha, you are receiving something tonight that goes beyond you. The room was cleared so the inheritance could be transmitted without interference. What you are receiving right now will, at some point in the future, walk through the door of someone's house you haven't even met yet. And here is what this identity authorizes. The heir doesn't hoard. They plant. And what they plant grows in soil they may never see. And yet, it's still theirs. Of these 3 identities, set apart, witness, heir, which one felt like it had your name on it? Write that name in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do it now. The next word needs to find you already in position. Now, no matter what, I'm going to fulfill the promise I made at the start. This protocol is called the anchor. 3 steps. You can do them right now, exactly where you are. Step 1. Name what you received. Before you go to bed, grab a piece of paper or the Notes app on your phone and write 1 sentence. Not a chapter. 1 sentence. What's the one thing you received in this message that felt new? It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be honest. Step 2. Declare it out loud. In an audible voice. Doesn't matter how loud, but it has to come out of your mouth. You are going to say, "The room was cleared for me. I was the guest. What was spoken here will not return void." Say it once. Feet on the floor. Step 3. Sleep without scrolling. Don't open the feed again. Don't look for more opinions. What was planted here tonight needs quiet soil to germinate. The last thing that enters your mind before you sleep will set the tone for the ground where this seed will grow. Protect the soil. If you do this with integrity, you're going to feel it. Not necessarily a high or a rush of emotion, but a specific quietness. A settling. Like when something that was out of place is finally clicked back into position. In the next 72 hours, 3 things will be thrown at you. Not maybe. Definitely. I'm warning you now so that when they show up, you already know their names. The first is the memory thief. A thought will come trying to reinterpret what happened here. It was just a video. You just got caught up in the moment. You felt this before, and nothing changed. It will come disguised as realism. Your weapon against it. That paper or note where you wrote what you received. You don't fight this with an argument. You show it the record. The second is false urgency. In the next few hours, something will pop up to steal your attention with manufactured urgency. A text, a notification, a problem that suddenly feels like it needs fixing right this second. It will come disguised as responsibility. Your weapon. Step 3 of the protocol. You already know the soil needs protection. False urgency is always recognizable because it shows up exactly during the seeding window. The third is the voice of disqualification. An internal voice, or maybe a real person, will question if you're even worthy of what was said here. This is for people with more faith than you. You still have too many flaws to receive this. It will come disguised as humility. Your weapon, identity number 2. You are a witness. Witnesses don't have to be perfect. They just have to be honest about what they saw. And sometimes the biggest attack doesn't come from outside. It comes from the habit of not finishing what you started, of leaving for tomorrow what was revealed today. You don't beat that enemy with a war. You beat it with one single step taken right now, before the window closes. Write protected in the comments right now. The decree is sealed. What you declare in public cannot be stolen in private. Before we go, I want to do one thing with you. Put both feet on the floor if you can. It doesn't matter where you're sitting. Just connect with the ground. Now let me place something over you. Every single thing you've been carrying that doesn't belong to you. The nameless weight, the fatigue that sleep can't touch, the feeling that the room is always full of people but has no space for you. You don't have to carry it anymore. Not today. Leave it here. I saw you opening your phone at 11 p.m., not to see something, but because you couldn't stand the silence anymore. I was in that silence. I was the silence. I saw when you tried to explain what you were carrying, and it came out all wrong, and you took the weight back because it had nowhere to land. I am where you land. I saw the exhaustion of praying for the same thing without seeing the sky move. And I want you to know, I was moving in layers you don't have access to yet. What felt like my silence was my preparation. You believed at a cost that nobody else saw, but I saw it. You were the answer for others while you waited for your turn. I saw that, and your turn has arrived. I didn't clear the room to leave you alone. I cleared it to be alone with you. And now that you're here, you can rest. What's yours is already sealed. You aren't leaving this room the same way you walked in. You are covered. You are sent. Your mind is protected. Your relationships are under cover. Your timing is in the right hands. And what was planted here tonight is already taking root in soil the enemy cannot reach. Amen. If this word reached you, write "done" in the comments. Not as an ending, as a beginning. And think of one person right now, not a group, one person who is in a silence similar to the one you were in before this message. Someone else who is in a room that feels empty and doesn't know it was cleared on purpose. Send this video to them, right now, before you close this. Just for them. And if they want to go deeper than just tonight's encounter, the link is in the first comment, waiting for them the same way it waited for you. It is done. You are not the same person you were when this message started. You seek. You dedicate yourself. You do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part? You start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video.